one of the largest and most impressive warships in the world. This city at sea towers 20 stories above the water and stretches over 1,000 feet long. But the size of this ship is not the only thing that's awe-inspiring. When the crew is in full swing, it can launch or land a plane every 25 seconds, all in a fraction of the space available on a typical landing strip. The Nimitz-class aircraft carrier is home to over 5,000 personnel, including sailors, officers, and pilots. The crew is supported by a team of 114 cooks who work around the clock to provide the crew with fresh and nutritious meals. Life aboard an aircraft carrier is undoubtedly tough and exhausting. Sailors are responsible for a wide range of tasks, and they often work long hours in challenging conditions. Another challenge is the limited space and privacy available. The ship is crowded with personnel and equipment, and sailors may have to share small, cramped living quarters with several other people. There's also limited downtime and opportunities for leisure activities, as the ship is always on the move and sailors are often busy with their duties. Additionally, sailors on an aircraft carrier may face challenges related to being away from home and their loved ones for extended periods of time. Deployments can last for several months, and sailors may not have regular opportunities to communicate with their families or take leave. But life on this floating city is not all work and no play. The USS Nimitz has a movie theater, a gym, and even a basketball court to help the crew relax and stay in shape during long deployments. It has even more facilities which really make you wonder, and which we're going to take a look at today. A galley that serves meals to 5,000 sailors, a grocery store, recreational areas for relaxation and leisure activities, a gym for physical fitness, a medical clinic for basic medical care. So join us as we take an exclusive look inside the USS Nimitz-class aircraft carrier and discover what it takes to keep this incredible vessel running at peak performance. At its most basic level, an aircraft carrier is simply a ship outfitted with a flight deck, a runway area for launching and landing airplanes. Carriers can move in excess of 35 knots, 40 miles an hour or 64 kilometers an hour, which gives them the ability to get anywhere in the ocean in a few weeks. Comprising nearly 1 billion distinct components, the American Nimitz-class mega aircraft carriers are some of the most intricate machines in existence. However, their core principles are quite straightforward. These vessels are engineered to perform 4 fundamental tasks: transport a variety of aircraft overseas, launch and land planes, serve as a mobile command center for military operations, house all the people who do these things. To accomplish these tasks, a carrier needs to combine elements of a ship, an Air Force base, and a small city, and among other things it needs a flight deck, a flat surface on the top of the ship where aircraft can take off and land, a hangar deck, an area below deck to stow aircraft when not in use, an island, a building on top of the flight deck where officers can direct flight and ship operations, room for the crew to live and work, a power plant and propulsion system to move the boat from point to point and to generate electricity for the entire ship, various other systems to provide food and fresh water and to handle things that any city has to deal with, the hull, the main body of the ship, which floats in the water. The ship's hull is constructed using exceptionally sturdy steel plates, several inches thick, providing effective protection against fire and combat damage. The vessel's structural integrity is mainly derived from 3 horizontal elements that span the entire hull: the keel, which is the iron spine at the ship's base, the flight deck, and the hangar deck. The portion of the hull beneath the waterline is rounded and relatively slim, while the part above the water expands outward to create the spacious flight deck. The ship's lower section features a double bottom, essentially consisting of 2 layers of steel plating with a gap in between. This double bottom offers additional defense against torpedoes or maritime accidents. If an enemy strikes the ship's base and breaches the outer steel layer, the second layer will prevent a significant leak. Before we go to the flight deck, let's take a look at how more than 5,000 sailors live and sleep on board. On the USS Nimitz-class aircraft carriers, the crew's living quarters are surprisingly compact, despite the vessel's immense size. These tight spaces, known as berthing areas or berths, are specifically designed to accommodate the large number of sailors and maximize the limited available space. Berths are typically organized by rank, with officers and enlisted personnel assigned to separate sleeping quarters. Enlisted personnel's berths often consist of bunk beds, known as racks, stacked 3 high. These racks are designed to be space efficient, with each measuring approximately 6.5 feet long, 3 feet wide, and 2 feet high. Though the sleeping area might appear cramped, it is intended to provide a comfortable resting space for the sailors. Each rack is equipped with a thin mattress, a small pillow, and a privacy curtain that can be closed to offer some degree of seclusion. Additionally, each rack contains a compact storage area beneath the mattress known as the coffin locker, where sailors can store their personal belongings. Given the limited storage space, crew members must learn to pack efficiently and keep their possessions well organized. Larger shared storage spaces are also available for items such as uniforms and equipment. In the berthing areas, sailors also have access to lockers where they can store their uniforms and personal items. The lockers are often placed along the walls or in central areas, making them easily accessible. However, as space is at a premium, sailors must share these storage areas, promoting a strong sense of camaraderie and cooperation among crew members. Communal restrooms called heads and shower facilities are available for the crew members' use. These shared facilities are typically located nearby the berthing areas to maintain convenience and accessibility. Given the large number of sailors, it is essential to maintain order and cleanliness in these shared spaces, with crew members taking turns to clean and maintain them. It is crucial for the crew to maintain a sense of organization and discipline in these confined living spaces, as the close quarters can make it challenging to maintain privacy and personal space. The tight sleeping arrangements require sailors to adapt to a communal lifestyle and foster strong bonds among the crew. This camaraderie is essential for maintaining morale and cooperating during the long deployments at sea. Despite the limited space, the U.S. Navy has strict rules and regulations regarding personal relationships and intimacy on board. Fraternization, defined as any relationship that compromises the chain of command or negatively affects good order and discipline, is prohibited. This includes any romantic or sexual relationships between officers and enlisted personnel, or between those in a direct chain of command. Furthermore, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, or the UCMJ, prohibits adultery, which is defined as sexual intercourse between a married individual and someone who is not their spouse. Any sailor found to be engaging in such conduct may face disciplinary action, which could include administrative actions or even a court-martial, depending on the severity of the offense. The Navy has also implemented a policy prohibiting any sexual activity in the berthing or living areas. Violating this policy may lead to disciplinary action. It's crucial for the crew to maintain professionalism and respect one another's privacy while on board the aircraft carrier. To address the need for privacy and decompression, designated spaces are available on the ship where sailors can relax and unwind during off-duty hours. These spaces, known as lounge areas or crew lounges, often include comfortable seating, televisions, and recreational activities, providing a much-needed break from the demands of their duties. One of the primary recreational facilities on board is the gym, which offers a variety of exercise equipment including treadmills, stationary bikes, and resistance machines. The gym provides sailors with an opportunity to stay in shape, relieve stress, and maintain their physical fitness, which is vital for their overall well-being and job performance. Some carriers even feature basketball courts and other sports facilities, offering additional options for physical activity and team building. The ship is also equipped with a library where sailors can access books, magazines, and educational materials. This resource allows crew members to pursue their interests, engage in self-improvement, and further their education during their downtime. Some carriers even offer educational programs and classes, enabling sailors to earn college credits or certifications while at sea. To address the crew's spiritual needs, the ship has a chapel, where religious services and spiritual counseling are offered. This space provides a quiet refuge for sailors to practice their faith and seek guidance. But that is not the most important thing. With over 5,000 crew members on board, the ship's dining facilities play a vital role in maintaining the crew's energy. Feeding all sailors on an aircraft carrier requires that over 17,300 meals are prepared daily by a team of just over 100 sailors. That appears like some kind of culinary miracle. So how are these huge numbers of sailors fed daily? Feeding a crew of more than 5,000 sailors on a USS Nimitz-class aircraft carrier is a task that requires careful planning, efficient execution, and a dedicated team of culinary specialists. The ship's dining facilities, also known as galleys or mess decks, are responsible for providing nutritious and satisfying meals to the crew members, ensuring they remain healthy and energized throughout their deployment. The galleys on a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier are designed to cater to the diverse dietary needs and preferences of the crew. Each galley is divided into various sections, such as the main serving line, where sailors can choose from an array of hot entrees, side dishes and desserts, a salad bar, which offers a selection of fresh vegetables, fruits, and salad dressings, and a sandwich bar, where crew members can custom make their own sandwiches. Vegetarian and vegan options are also available, ensuring that all dietary requirements are accommodated. The meal schedule on a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier typically consists of 4 meals per day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a late-night meal known as midrats, short for midnight rations, which caters to sailors working night shift or those who missed earlier meals. The menu is carefully planned in advance by the ship's food service officer, who works closely with the culinary specialists to deploy a variety of meal options that meet nutritional guidelines and satisfy the crew's diverse tastes. To achieve this, the FSO and culinary specialists rely on a vast stockpile of ingredients and provisions stored in the ship's storerooms. These supplies are meticulously managed to ensure that the ship can continue to provide quality meals for the crew throughout their deployment. The storerooms contain everything from fresh produce to canned goods, as well as frozen meats and other perishables, which are stored in massive refrigeration units. The ship also has the capability to produce its own fresh water through desalination, which is vital for both cooking and hydration. The culinary specialists on a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier are a team of highly skilled professionals who have undergone extensive training in food preparation, food safety, and nutrition. They work in shifts, with some responsible for preparing the meals, while others handle the serving lines and cleaning duties. The team is led by the leading culinary specialist, or LCS, and the chief culinary specialist, the CCS, who oversee the daily operations of the galley and ensure that the highest standards of food quality and sanitation are maintained. Between 16,000 and 18,000 meals are produced daily by around 100 culinary specialist staff. These meals range from breakfasts served at 6 a.m. to the midrats. Planning is essential in order to accomplish this goal. The ship's cooks adhere to a menu cycle that lasts for 15 days and receive resupplies at sea once every week, including both dry and fresh commodities. The 5,000 crew aboard an aircraft carrier can consume 1,600 pounds of chicken, 160 gallons of milk, 30 cases of cereal, and 350 pounds of lettuce in a single day. Everything is produced in enormous quantities. Cooks are required to constantly prepare meals, do various activities, and undergo training to learn new responsibilities. All galleys on carriers are sufficiently supplied. After every 7 to 10 days, a supply ship will bring between 400,000 and 1 million pounds of food. The process of preparing meals for such a large crew is a complex and time-consuming endeavor. The culinary specialists typically begin their day well before the crew wakes up, preparing breakfast items such as eggs, bacon, pancakes, and oatmeal. Throughout the day, they continue to cook, bake, and prepare a wide variety of dishes for the subsequent meals, which can range from grilled chicken and steamed vegetables to pasta and stir-fry dishes. Baking fresh bread and desserts is also an integral part of their duties. Given the limited space and resources on board, the culinary specialists must be highly efficient and resourceful in their meal preparation. They often employ techniques such as batch cooking and utilizing pre-made sauces and mixes to streamline the processes and ensure that the meals are served promptly. Despite these constraints, the culinary specialists strive to create dishes that are not only nutritious, but also visually appealing and flavorful, as the quality of food plays a crucial role in maintaining the crew's morale. In addition to the main galleys, some Nimitz-class aircraft carriers also have smaller wardrooms for the officers, where a separate team of culinary specialists prepare meals specifically for the ship's officers. The wardrooms offer a more formal dining experience, with a table service and a slightly more diverse menu selection. However, the emphasis on providing nutritious and satisfying meals remains a priority in both the main galleys and the wardrooms. To ensure that the food quality and safety standards are met, the galleys on a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier adhere to strict protocols for hygiene and sanitation. Culinary specialists are required to follow guidelines for hand washing, food storage, and preparation to minimize the risk of foodborne illnesses. The galleys and dining areas are regularly inspected and cleaned to maintain a safe and sanitary environment for the crew. Special occasions and holidays are also celebrated on board, with the culinary team going the extra mile to create festive menus and decorations. These events provide a much-needed boost to the crew's morale and allow them to enjoy a taste of home while at sea. Popular events include Thanksgiving, where a traditional feast with turkey and all the trimmings is served, and the Navy's birthday, where a specially designed cake is prepared to mark the occasion. Apart from the large-scale meal preparations, the culinary specialists on a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier also cater to smaller gatherings and events, such as receptions for visiting dignitaries, promotions, and change of command ceremonies. These events often require a more refined menu and presentation, showcasing the culinary team's versatility and skill. If you think the food on an aircraft carrier is well taken care of, take a look at the supermarket on the ship. You'll be surprised how this works. A vital resource for the crew of a USS Nimitz-class aircraft carrier is the ship's store, commonly referred to as the Geedunk or the ship store. This onboard grocery store offers a variety of essential items and creature comforts to the sailors, providing them with a sense of normalcy and the ability to acquire personal items while at sea. The store averages around $10,000 per day with over 1,050 transactions. The ship's store carries a wide range of products, catering to the diverse needs of the sailors. Items available for purchase include toiletries such as shampoo, soap, toothpaste, and razors, clothing items like socks, underwear, and Navy-themed apparel, as well as recreational items like books, magazines, and electronics. Snacks, beverages, and other non-perishable items are also available, providing the sailors with an opportunity to indulge in their favorite treats and satisfy their cravings during their downtime. One of the unique aspects of the ship's store is that it operates as a non-profit entity. This means that the prices of the items sold are typically lower than what sailors would find at an onshore store, and there's no sales tax, and the objective is to cover the cost of goods and operational expenses rather than to generate profit. The revenue generated by the ship's store is used to support morale, welfare, and recreation or MWR programs on board the carrier, further contributing to the quality of life for the crew. The ship's store is managed by a team of dedicated sailors known as the ship's servicemen, or the SH, who have undergone specialized training in retail operations, inventory management, and customer service. The SH personnel are responsible for all aspects of the store's operation, from stocking shelves and managing inventory to assisting customers and processing transactions. They work closely with the supply department to ensure that the store remains well-stocked and able to meet the needs of the crew. To maintain a steady supply of goods, the ship's store relies on regular replenishments from support ships, known as replenishments at sea or RAS operations. During these operations, the aircraft carrier receives essential provisions and supplies, including items for the ship's store while still underway. This complex process involves the transfer of goods from the supply ship to the carrier using a series of pulleys, cables, and cranes. The SH personnel and other crew members then work together to unload and transport the supplies to the ship's store, where they are carefully inventoried and stored. In addition to the main ship store, some Nimitz-class aircraft carriers also have smaller satellite stores or vending machines located throughout the ship. These outlets offer a more limited selection of items but provide sailors with convenient access to essential products without having to visit the main store. This is particularly helpful for those working in remote areas of the ship or during times when the main store may be closed. In the event that the ship's store runs out of stock, replenishment at sea operations are conducted to resupply essential items and maintain the availability of goods for the crew. The replenishment at sea or underway replenishment process allows fuel, ammunition, stores, and grocery items to be transferred between ships while they're still in motion. This technique, first developed in the early 20th century, was extensively used by the United States Navy during World War II in the Pacific Theater, enabling U.S. carrier task forces to remain at sea indefinitely. Today, two primary methods of underway replenishment are utilized: vertical replenishment and alongside connected replenishment. Vertical replenishment involves transferring cargo between ships using helicopters, allowing the ships to avoid getting dangerously close to one another. However, the helicopter's capacity limits the maximum load and transfer speeds, making it unsuitable for transferring large quantities of grocery items at once. Alongside connected replenishment is the most commonly used method on modern aircraft carriers, allowing the transfer of liquids, ammunition, and break bulk goods, including grocery items. In the 1950s and 60s, the U.S. Navy developed multi-product supply ships with a ram tensioner system to keep the high-line tension during transit. This method evolved into the standard tension replenishment alongside method, or stream, which maintains a greater distance between the ships. During replenishment, the supply ship maintains a constant direction and speed, with the receiving ship approaching until they are approximately 30 yards apart. The supply ship fires a gun line, pneumatic line thrower, or shot line, which is used to pull over a messenger line and other equipment for the transfer. Larger ships can set up multiple transfer rigs, allowing for quicker transfers or the transfer of various types of supplies. Most resupply ships can handle two receivers simultaneously. While most ships can accept a resupply on either side, U.S. Navy aircraft carriers always receive replenishment on the starboard side due to the island and navigation bridge's location. Performing alongside connected replenishment is dangerous due to the hydrodynamics of two ships traveling near each other, creating a suction between them. Experienced helmsmen and attentive bridge crews are necessary to prevent collisions and ruptures in gasoline transfer lines and hoses. Emergency breakaway procedures are practiced to separate ships in case of emergencies, although this may result in the loss of some goods. After replenishment is completed, it's standard for U.S. Navy ships to separate from the providing vessel while playing a distinctive tune over the supplier's public address system. Supplies are then transferred to the hangar, where they're sorted and distributed to the respective units, ensuring sailors have everything they need at any given time. Do you think we've already discussed all the great facilities? Nope. One of the most popular amenities on board is the ship's internet cafe, which allows sailors to access the internet, send emails, and connect with loved ones back home. While the bandwidth is limited and the connection may be slower than what's available on shore, this service is invaluable in helping sailors maintain relationships and stay informed of events in the world beyond their ship. In terms of medical facilities, on a USS Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, the provision of medical care is of utmost importance, given the thousands of crew members living and working in close quarters for extended periods. To address the healthcare needs of the sailors, the ship is equipped with a fully functional medical facility, commonly referred to as the ship's hospital. This facility caters to various medical requirements, ranging from routine checkups to emergency care and surgical procedures. The ship's hospital is staffed by a team of highly skilled medical professionals, including doctors, nurses, and hospital corpsmen. These individuals are trained to handle a wide array of medical issues, ensuring that the crew receives appropriate care and treatment in a timely manner. In addition to their primary duties, the medical staff also conduct regular training sessions to maintain their skills and educate non-medical crew members on essential first aid and emergency procedures. The medical facility on a Nimitz-class carrier is divided into several specialized departments, each dedicated to addressing specific healthcare needs. These departments include general medicine, dentistry, optometry, radiology, laboratory services, and pharmacy. The ship's hospital is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic tools and medical equipment, enabling the medical staff to provide accurate diagnoses and effective treatments for various ailments. The general medicine department caters to the primary care needs of the sailors, handling routine checkups, vaccinations, and treatment for common illnesses such as colds and flu. In case of more complex health issues, the doctors can consult with specialists ashore via telemedicine, ensuring that the crew receives the best possible care. An aircraft carrier flight deck is one of the most exhilarating and dangerous work environments in the world, not to mention the loudest. The deck may look like an ordinary land runway, but it works very differently due to its smaller size. When the crew is in full swing, planes are landing and taking off at a furious rate in a limited space. One careless moment, and a fighter jet engine could suck somebody in or blast somebody off the edge of the deck into the ocean. However, despite the risks faced by the deck crew, the pilots encounter even greater challenges. The flight deck's length is insufficient for most military aircraft to execute standard landings or takeoffs, necessitating the use of specialized machinery to assist in these procedures. A significant amount of airflow must flow over an aircraft's wings to produce lift. To facilitate takeoff, carriers can generate extra airflow over the flight deck by swiftly sailing through the ocean, heading into the wind and the direction of takeoff. This air movement over the wings reduces the aircraft minimum speed required for takeoff. Getting air moving over the deck is important, but the primary takeoff assistance comes from the carrier's 4 catapults, which get the planes up to high speeds in a very short distance. Each catapult consists of 2 pistons that sit inside 2 parallel cylinders, each about as long as a football field, positioned under the deck. The pistons each have a metal lug on their tip, which protrudes through a narrow gap along the top of each cylinder. The 2 lugs extend through rubber flanges, which seal the cylinders, and through a gap in the flight deck where they attach to a small shuttle. Let's see what exactly happens on takeoff and landing. To prepare for a takeoff, the flight deck crew moves the aircraft into position at the rear of the catapult and attaches the tow bar on the aircraft nose gear or the front wheels to a slot in the shuttle. The crew positions another bar, the holdback, between the back of the wheel and the shuttle. In an F-14 and F-A-18 fighter jets, the holdback is built into the nose gear. In other aircraft, it's a separate piece. While all of this is going on, the flight crew raises the jet blast deflector, or the JBD, behind the aircraft. When the jet blast deflector, tow bar, and holdback are all in position and all the final checks have been made, the catapult officer, known as the shooter, gets the catapults ready from the catapult control pod, a small encased control station with a transparent dome that protrudes above the flight deck. As the pilots prepare for takeoff, the final checkers approach the aircraft, using a series of hand signals to communicate with the pilot. The first checker, stationed near the nose, signals the pilot to turn off the engines and release the brakes. Meanwhile, the second checker, located near the tail, inspects the underside of the aircraft to ensure that there are no obstructions or hazards that could jeopardize the launch. Once the second checker gives the all-clear signal, the first checker signals the pilot to restart the engines and prepares for launch. As the aircraft gains speed and prepares to lift off the deck, the first checker uses hand signals to communicate with the pilot, indicating whether or not the aircraft is properly aligned for takeoff. When the aircraft is ready to go, the CAT officer opens valves to fill the catapult cylinders with high-pressure steam from the ship's reactors. This steam provides the necessary force to propel the pistons at high speed, slinging the aircraft forward to generate the necessary lift for takeoff. Initially, the pistons are locked into place, so the cylinders simply build up pressure. The catapult officer carefully monitors the pressure level so it's just right for the particular aircraft and deck conditions. If the pressure is too low, the aircraft won't get moving fast enough for takeoff, and the catapult will throw it into the ocean. If there's too much pressure, the sudden jerk could break the nose gear right off. When the cylinders are charged to the appropriate pressure level, the pilot blasts the aircraft's engines. The holdback keeps the aircraft on the shuttle while the engines generate considerable thrust. The catapult officer releases the pistons, the force causes the holdbacks to release, and the steam pressure slams the shuttle and aircraft forward. At the end of the catapult, the tow bar pops out of the shuttle, releasing the aircraft. This totally steam-driven system can rocket a 45,000-pound aircraft from 0 to 165 miles per hour in just 2 seconds. If everything goes well, the speeding aircraft has generated enough lift to take off. If not, the pilot activates their ejector seats to escape the aircraft before going hurtling into the ocean ahead of the ship. This hardly ever happens, but the risk is always there. Taking off is extremely difficult, but the real trick is coming back in. Landing on the flight deck is one of the most difficult things a Navy pilot will ever do. The flight deck only has about 500 feet of runway space for landing aircraft, which isn't nearly enough for the heavy high-speed jets on US carriers. To land on the flight deck, each aircraft needs a tail hook, which is exactly what it sounds like, an extended hook attached to the aircraft's tail. The pilot's goal is to snag the tailhook on one of the 4 arresting wires, sturdy cables woven from high-tensile steel wire. The arresting wires are stretched across the deck and are attached on both ends to hydraulic cylinders below deck. If the tailhook snags an arresting wire, it pulls the wire out, and the hydraulic cylinder system absorbs the energy to bring the aircraft to a stop. The arresting wire system can stop a 54,000-pound aircraft traveling at 150 miles per hour in only 2 seconds in a 315-foot landing area. There are 4 parallel arresting wires, spaced about 50 feet apart, to expand the target area for the pilot. Pilots are aiming for the 3rd wire, as it's the safest and most effective target. They never shoot for the 1st wire because it's dangerously close to the edge of the deck. If they come in too low on the 1st wire, they could easily crash into the stern of the ship. It's acceptable to snag the 2nd or 4th wire, but for a pilot to move up through the ranks, he or she has to be able to catch the 3rd wire consistently. To pull off this incredible trick, the pilot needs to approach the deck at exactly the right angle. The landing procedure starts when the various returning aircraft stack up in a huge oval flying pattern near the carrier. The carrier air traffic control center below deck decides the landing order of the waiting aircraft based on the various fuel levels. An aircraft is about to run out of fuel comes down before the one that can keep flying for a while. When it's time for an aircraft to land, the pilot breaks free of this landing pattern and heads towards the stern of the ship. Landing signals officers, or LSOs, help to guide the aircraft in through radio communications as well as a collection of lights on the deck. If the aircraft is off course, the LSOs can use radio commands or illuminate other lights to correct him or her, or to wave him off or send him around for another attempt. In addition to the LSOs, pilots look to the Fresnel Lens Optical Landing System, commonly referred to as the lens for landing guidance. The lens consists of a series of lights and Fresnel lenses mounted to a gyroscopically stabilized platform. The lens focuses the light onto narrow beams that are directed into the sky at various angles. The pilot will see different lights depending on the aircraft's angle of approach. If the aircraft is right on target, the pilot will see an amber light dubbed the meatball in line with a row of green lights. If the amber light appears above the green lights, the aircraft is coming in too high. If the amber light appears below the green lights, the aircraft is coming in too low. If the aircraft is coming in way too low, the pilot will see red lights. As soon as the aircraft hits the deck, the pilot will push the engines to full power instead of slowing down to bring the aircraft to a stop. This may seem counterintuitive, but if the tailhook doesn't catch any of the arresting wires, the aircraft needs to be moving fast enough to take off again and come around for another pass. The landing runway is tilted at a 14-degree angle to the rest of the ship, so bolters like this can take off from the side of the ship instead of plowing the aircraft into the other end of the deck. As soon as an aircraft lands, it's pulled out of the landing strip and chained down on the side of the flight deck. Inactive aircraft are always tightly secured to keep them from sliding around as the deck rocks back and forth. The flight deck crew has to be prepared for a wide range of unexpected events, including raging aircraft fires. During takeoff or recovery operations, they have plenty of safety equipment at the ready. Among other things, the flight deck has a small fire truck and nozzles leading to water tanks and aqueous film-forming foam and advanced fire extinguishing materials. There are also nozzles for jet fuel and a number of other useful liquids. Flight deck personnel also face the risk of a jet engine blowing them overboard. Safety nets around the side of the flight deck offer some protection, but for extra safety, personnel are also equipped with float coats, self-inflating jackets with flashing distress lights activated by contact with water. Flight deck personnel also wear heavy-duty helmets called cranials, which protect their head and their hearing. The flight deck crew is also responsible for the recovery of aircraft that have completed their missions. This involves catching the aircraft as they land on the deck, using a system of cables and hooks to slow them down and bring them to a stop. This is known as an arrested landing, and it's one of the most challenging maneuvers that a pilot can perform. It requires incredible skill and precision, as the pilot must land the aircraft in just the right spot on the deck and at just the right speed to ensure a safe landing. Once the aircraft is safely on the deck, the flight crew goes to work once again. They'll secure the aircraft to the deck, refuel it, and perform any necessary maintenance or repairs. Then, the process starts all over again, as the crew prepares the aircraft for its next mission. And that's not all. In the middle of the flight deck, on an aircraft carrier, there is the tiniest space that will amaze you. The bubble, where hugely important work is done with the most exciting view. The capability of these ships to take off and land jets in such a small space is incredible. While helmet-clad sailors swarm about the flight deck wearing earplugs to soften the deafening noise, certain officers have a sweet view of all the action while sitting in one of the smallest rooms on an aircraft carrier. This is called the bubble. The Integrated Catapult Control System, also known as the bubble, is a station found on aircraft carriers' flight decks. The Integrated Catapult Control Station, or ICCS, is used on modern aircraft carriers in the United States Navy. The station makes it possible to launch aircraft with enhanced safety and increased efficiency. It serves as the nerve center of the catapult control system, which eradicates the need for several remote stations and intercommunications necessary for each airplane takeoff. Because even a minor mistake or breakdown in communication can result in an accident, the Navy officer who's in the bubble has a significant amount of responsibility. The sailor in the bubble does safety checks before the launch, and once he's within the bubble, he checks the winds, makes sure the path is clear, and keeps an eye on the board that's in front of him. If he notices something that could put them in danger, a button that pauses the launch will light up. Just before takeoff, he looks in the pilot's direction. If the pilot moves his head or switches his lights off when taking off at night, the takeoff will be delayed. The primary portion of the ICCS controls is dispersed between the ICCS on the deck and the central charging panel below the deck. Controlling the operation of two neighboring catapults is the responsibility of the ICCS, which houses both the catapult officer control console and the monitor control console. The ICCS is connected to the remote control panels for each catapult by sound-powered phones and a set of indicator lights. In the event of a crisis, the tasks of the ICCS can be moved to the emergency deck edge control panel or the central charging panel, and the catapult officer can take charge of directing operations on deck. To direct the activities of the catapult officer control console, the monitor control console, and the central charging panel is utilized in conjunction with one another. For convenience in using it, the control console has a wraparound design. On the side of the console that is closer to the commanded catapult, Separate control panels for each of the two catapults controlled by the console are positioned. The operating panels contain status lights, light switch units for the different phases of catapult operation, the nose gear launch switch, the manual aircraft data input system readouts and array switches, and the capacity selector valve position console. These components allow the operator to guide the catapult through a normal launching cycle. It's not necessary to use the bubble to launch a catapult. The Nimitz-class carriers are also outfitted with the old remote stations that are used to operate the catapults on older carriers. Therefore, if the bubble is not utilized to launch an aircraft, the process is assisted by these 3 remote stations. Aboard a USS Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, various traditions help foster a sense of camaraderie, boost morale, and provide moments of levity during long deployments. These activities enable sailors to bond and create lasting memories, despite the demanding nature of their jobs. Some of these cherished traditions on the ships include swim call, fishing, and the boot shoot. Swim call is a highly anticipated event that allows sailors to take a break from their regular duties and enjoy some rec time in the open ocean. It typically occurs when the ship is in calm, clear waters and the weather conditions are favorable. During a swim call, the ship comes to a complete stop and the crew is given permission to jump off the side of the carrier and swim in the surrounding waters. This experience is a rare opportunity for sailors to relax, unwind, and briefly escape the confined spaces of the ship. Safety is a top priority during swim call events. Before anyone is allowed into the water, the area is thoroughly checked for potential hazards, such as dangerous marine life or debris. Once the area is deemed safe, a designated swimming zone is established, and multiple lifeguards are stationed to watch over the swimmers. Additionally, small boats known as safety boats are deployed to patrol the perimeter, ensuring that no one strays too far from the ship and providing assistance if needed. Another popular tradition on the ship is fishing. When the carrier is anchored or in a designated fishing area, sailors have the chance to cast their lines and try their luck at catching some fish from the ocean. This leisure activity not only offers a break from the daily grind, but also provides a unique opportunity for sailors to connect with nature and enjoy the thrill of catching their own dinner. The fish caught during these sessions can be cleaned and prepared by the ship's culinary team, offering a welcome change to the regular menu for crew members. The boot shoot is a symbolic tradition that marks the end of a sailor's deployment on a USS Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. Upon completing their tour of duty and before leaving the ship, sailors can choose to participate in this ritual, which involves throwing a pair of worn-out boots off the flight deck and into the ocean. This act signifies the end of a chapter in their lives and serves as a farewell to the ship and their fellow crew members. It's a bittersweet moment as the sailors reflect on their time spent on the carrier, their friendships forged, and the challenges they've overcome. These traditions play a crucial role in maintaining a positive atmosphere on a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, as they offer opportunities for the crew to bond, relax, and create lasting memories. As the sun sets on another day of service, the sailors of the U.S. Navy stand ready to meet whatever challenges come their way. From the flight decks of aircraft carriers to the submarines prowling the depths of the ocean, they serve their country with honor and distinction. Through their hard work and dedication, they protect the freedoms we hold dear and keep our nation safe. We are proud to tell their story and to honor their service. Thank you to the brave men and women of the U.S. Navy. Like this video if you also have a great respect for all crew members of the U.S. Navy. Leave a comment or a blue heart. We're curious about your opinion or experience in the U.S. Navy. Don't forget to subscribe to see more videos about the U.S. Navy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.